We are live. Welcome to Chaos and Amazement, where we explore the impact of digital technology on our daily lives. My name is 𝗦𝗵cie.
And my name is 𝗦𝗵cie. And together we're building socialrunners.com, a platform where marketing people like me can book creative people like Phil.
Yes. We're back.
Yes, I missed you, man. I did a Twitter Spaces on my own, and talking to yourself for an hour, that's just sad. So I'm very happy that you're here.
Yeah.
And I brought a full bag of chaos and amazement. And I know I say this every week, but it's, wow, what a week. I mean, there's been a lot of interesting technology now. And I am convinced that AI in itself is living its iPhone moment. I consider the day that the iPhone was launched back in 2007 as the famous One More Thing by Steve Jobs. It's one moment in time where everyone realized afterwards that everything changed afterwards. So the way we started using apps instead of software, we started using our phones a lot more. The phones were connected to the internet constantly. Social media broke through. So everything changed. The business models changed.
They basically introduced the App Store, I think, no?
Exactly. And that's why they call this type of revolution, historic moments, iPhone moments. Yeah. Or you could call them an example of the technological singularity, of course, as I like doing. And this week, I read a few articles that said AI is having its iPhone moment right now. It was already spectacular, of course, back in November when it launched, and then 1 week after it already had like millions of users, which was new. There were some other spectacular launches, but they were nothing compared to the oh my God, I said ChatGPT again, didn't I?
Yes, and I didn't heard it, so
sorry about that.
It's 39 euros.
But only now it's becoming really interesting because we're trying to see applications of this AI, specifically from OpenAI, but they're not the only ones. And when I want to see where the technology is going, I follow three types of movements. The first one is follow the data. So what do the tech giants do, like Microsoft, for example? We'll talk about Meta in a minute as well. So follow the data, the companies who have a lot of user data, and then when they launch something, it does have an impact on a lot of people. Follow the money is where I look at investment money being thrown at startups. So you can, I assume that companies like Sequoia or Andreessen Horowitz do their homework before they decide to throw another $1 million at a startup, and then very often you can see where the market is probably will be going. And then the third one, and we haven't mentioned those before, are artists, because artists sometimes they can see a shift in society, for example. They can see it coming, and what they produce enables people to think about exactly what is going on in our society. And I had two examples with me today. So there's a Dutch artist called Jasper van Loenen. And on his website, Jasper van Loenen, Loenen is LOENEN.com. He explains an AI camera that he has developed, which basically, it's kind of hard to explain if you don't see it. Basically, what it does is it looks at the outside world and then describes what it sees. In his example, he's having the camera pointed at one of those typical Dutch trains who are in blue and yellow. We sometimes see them in Belgium as well. And so the AI camera films this and then translates it into text in the form of a prompt to, for example, Midjourney or DALL-E or Stable Diffusion. And then a text-to-image generator translates what the camera describes back to an image.
Wow.
You might wonder, why would you do that? So there's his explanation, and then there's the possible implementations of this.
Yeah.
So he says that when you point a camera at something, the image that through, with this little detour via text, the image will be a perfect picture because the text to AI has been trained on what is considered as good. So the framing is done well, the color balance is done well. So the end result of whatever you pointed the camera at will be a technically okay photo. So that's the reason why he built it. But of course, if you look at this technology, this is just great for people who have like visual impairments, and who just want to walk around in the physical world and then have an earpiece that just whispers in their ear what is in front of them. And to me, it blew my mind.
One day with vibrations, maybe they will get the image in their head.
Back again in the brain. Yeah. Oh, I haven't. Yeah, that's of course with brain-computer implants.
Mid-journey in your brain.
So you don't even need the text-to-image AI anymore to create an image. That's brilliant. So that's my point. I mean, he saw something. See what I did there? He saw something, a possible implementation of AI computer vision combined with generative AI. And that's Jasper van Loenen, if you're listening, I take my hat off to you. Of course, with AI and artists, there's a lot of tension right now because a lot of visual artists, they find out that the text-to-image AIs have been trained on images that are found on the internet. So, of course, because that's the largest database. If you want to train a database on millions or billions of images, there's only one place where you can find this amount of images. So the problem is, of course, that some of the artists recognize that their work has been used in these generative AI applications, and there are a few of them actually try to sue, for example, OpenAI, because it's not their images that are being generated, but it's very clear that it has copied their style, which is very complicated, legally speaking. I mean, you can claim the intellectual property of the product, the picture, the painting, for example, but patenting your style as an artist, I can't even wrap my head around it, how you can do it. But so there is this website called 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀.com, has been around for a while, and this is where you can go if you hear about a data breach, that LinkedIn, for example, accidentally had a break-in and a lot of usernames and passwords were stolen. So 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀 is a place where you can find out if your typical Gmail address that you use as a login on different sites, where you can see on which sites these passwords have been leaked and probably are on sale on the dark web somewhere. So similarly to 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀, there's now 𝗦𝗵𝗀trained.com. And this is a place where, as an artist, you can upload your art and graphic art, for example, comics, cartoons, photography, paintings, and then find out whether your images have been used to train AI. And I tried it with a very famous comic artist from Belgium, 𝗦𝗫𝐺𝗫. And I picked him because his family is famously known for suing everyone who uses the image of his characters. The most famous one is Tintin. So you can't just, create stickers or tattoos or carve wraps or whatever you want using 𝗦𝗫𝐺𝗫's work because they will find you and they will sue you. The 𝗦𝗫𝐺𝗫 Foundation. So that's why I picked him. And yes, there have been a number of images by 𝗦𝗫𝐺𝗫. So I don't want to bring anyone from the 𝗦𝗫𝐺𝗫 Foundation, any ideas, but you have been trained.
It's a thin line because a friend of mine is an artist and he uses the bottle 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀.
Oh yeah.
And the outline of the shield of the label, and it's green, fluo green. So it's basically a copy, but there's no 𝗦𝗵cie𝘄𝗲𝘀. It's written with like ChatGPT would do it, or no, Mid-journey. I wanted to put something in the
swear jar.
And he was sued, but he won. He won, yeah. And because it's how did he say it? It's his impression of a bottle of champagne.
Oh, okay. So the artist who remixed the image
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting because there's an actual legal case this week that started this week around work of oh god damn I just had his name and now I forgot it. So he Andy Warhol, that's the
Andy
one.
Warhol.
So there's a work by Andy Warhol based on a picture of Prince. So it's called Purple Prince. Purple Prince, obviously. I think it is a work from 1976 or something. And there's a museum that has this work, and I wanted to exhibit it. Now, they are being sued by the original. The museum, is being sued by the original photographer of this portrait of Prince. So you might think everyone is safe. Andy Warhol is dead. Prince is dead. But then there's still this photographer. And this made a lot of other museums really nervous because in the history of times, there have always been artists who remixed in music, for example, using samples, who remixed other artists' works into their. And this is a case that is still not settled as a whole. I mean, where does the line stop? Where do you draw the line between being inspired by another artist or blatantly copying this artist's work? And now AI is having the same problem as artists who remix. So this is really the iPhone moment is really here, and that's what I learned from.
There's many art using the Monopoly guy and Dagobert Duck, for example. Yeah, it's sold.
These two with each other.
For example, but also standalone. But it's sold for 6,000 euros and stuff like that.
Intellectual property sometimes makes more money than the original product, and this is one of the main money makers for Disney, for example. They make a lot more from the intellectual property on franchises like Star Wars. So they make more money with Grogu with Grogu dolls. They make more money with this type of merch than they do with their movies and theme parks. So. I understand where it comes from. It's just it depends a lot on the judge, for example, and you just never know how much they understand about AI and remixes. And when it comes to copying pieces of a line of music or copying pieces, you can literally calculate how many bytes in percentages, how many of the sound bytes are copied from the original, or how many pixels were copied from the original. But with AI, you could. I mean, you could say that, and but with AI, you can't, because they create something new in the style of. That's what StyleGAN does. So I'm curious about these cases. I think they will be different every time that someone tries to sue an AI. So OpenAI, had an interesting week, and now it's become clear for everyone that the product is not this website. The product is the API, and very soon, I think, because remember they launched 23rd of November or something, so only a couple of months ago. And this week, a number of business customers of OpenAI, launched an integration. So Bing was, I think, first, but now there are a lot of others, and you can license the API yourself. So we talked about this before the recording. It depends on how much you want to use. So it is priced at 2 cents for about 750 words, so you get charged by word that I think comes back from OpenAI, or maybe the prompt. I'm not sure. It's not clear. The 750 words, would it be prompt plus output or just the output? Because if it were the output and I was ChatGPT, I would, talk for hours and then just make money by talking.
I think it's the output, because Jarvis was also working like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 cents for 750 words doesn't sound like a lot, but if you build like an app on top of it, where you would use the AI for example, 2 customers of this API are Snapchat and Shopify. And Snapchat immediately launched it for their, I think I call it Premium, Snap Premium or Snap Pro version in 2 markets, I think US and Canada. So if you like the Pro version, I can't try it because I'm neither in that market and I don't even have Snapchat. But what I imagine is that, so Snapchat is used by a lot of people to just, mess around with their friends and then send each other silly pictures very often with these AR filters on top of them. So why wouldn't, in this group of friends, wouldn't there be a bot sitting there, Snappy or something like that? And he would be like this always available buddy that knows everything. Yeah. So when you get together with your friends, you could ask Snappy. That would be hilarious if they actually called it Snappy. But
that's
you can ask
a marketeer.
We want to do a music quiz. Can you come up with the questions? Or when they're having a discussion about what was the name of this artist who famously remixed pictures, and Snappy would know it was Andy Warhol. So I can clearly see this, and then even for Shopify, I can see this, because if you have a Shopify web store, you could have this assistant. I know they already exist, like a chatbots on a website, but they were even more annoying than Siri. They were just frustrating. It would always end in you just want to throw something at this chatbot, because you could ask it a question, but there were clearly limits to what it could do.
You're always ending up in a wall.
Yes, exactly. And but if it uses AI, specifically the one from OpenAI, I can imagine that you choose a Shopify plan that has this chatbot built in. And it would take you to a training so that it would know what the frequently asked questions were for your specific web store. But then it could help a customer who doesn't know which product to pick from the catalog. It could help it choose, for example, based on a number of parameters. If you say, I don't know, should I pick a large or a medium-sized dress? Should I pick the green one or the blue one?
Let me scan you.
Well, why not? I mean, so it would have to be trained, of course, by Shopify to work in that context. So it cannot be abused for anything else but the shopping environment. It would have to be trained by the shopkeeper. And it would have to be trained by the user as well, because it would know who you were, because you're logged into Shopify, you want to buy something. So it would remember who you were, what your buying history was, what your size was, whether you were happy with your previous purchase. So this is going somewhere. This AI is going places. So this is for the chat interface, but they of course also have DALL-E, the text to image, where it all started with DALL-E, and you start seeing applications of that as well. So there's one random example, ai.lunchbox.io. I mean. Yeah, the minute I was pronouncing this URL, it doesn't get more 2023 than this URL, ai.lunchbox.io. And what it basically does is that it does nothing but accept text prompts from you that create food pictures. But it already has some extra weights in the background, so that the result is always very realistically looking. So I was thinking, just imagine that you are a food blogger or some kind of a foodie influencer, whatever. You have an Instagram to keep up with. So first you invent new recipes with the chat version, and then you use the AI food generator to illustrate it, which means you never have to cook again. If you want content, you don't need to cook anymore.
Wow.
The whole process can be completely virtual, so you can make the craziest recipes and then show what they would look like. And then the engagement with your followers, of course, would be that they would then try these things out and then tell you how they tasted. A real AI, of course, would know how to balance the ingredients so that it tastes good, feels good in your mouth, and then the other side of the AI would know how to make it look good, which is equally important.
Wow.
So it's the AI, the iPhone moment.
How many months are we in this AI?
2 months, basically 2 months, 2.5 months.
Really crazy.
Yes, and if you count DALL-E was of course launched before the summer, but not even a year. Not even a year after it became publicly available. And now that the APIs are out in the open, I can hardly wait to see what comes out of this.
The metaverse, which we are working with, they are also implying AI in their metaverse, because when you have a shop, a virtual shop, You can't be there with your avatar 24/7.
Okay.
So the AI will learn from you, and he will answer the questions for the people who are coming to your shop. It's really crazy.
Well,
With your avatar.
In a gaming environment, it's not that weird. I mean, you've always had non-player characters in many games, and they would remember that last time you came around the corner, that you came from the left-hand side, so they would be waiting there for you when you respawn. So it's been normal for gamers for at least 10 years, and now it's becoming
for gamers,
normal.
But for the people who will go to the Web3
environment, for them it's new.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola is like one of those major examples when it comes to marketing, and they have been very serious about their marketing ever since they started. I think they're one of the brands that everyone takes as an example. I think Nike and and Apple maybe being the others. So they had a partnership with the agency Bain & Company and with OpenAI. So they are also one of those API customers, Coca-Cola is. And they're going to use artificial intelligence for marketing purposes. So I'm just going to read what the press release says. They will be able to use DALL-E and ChatGPT, Ding, to create personalized advertising copy, targeted messages, and customized marketing materials. So what is the brave new world we're looking at? Instead of you scrolling through your feed of Instagram, which is filled with images that other people publish to Instagram and ads, everyone will have a completely different feed that they're looking at. But content that is created, if it's an ad by Coca-Cola, that was created on the fly just for you. Just for you. So when you're seeing a Coca-Cola ad in Instagram, I'm just mentioning Instagram because everyone can imagine what their feed is, but they don't have this integration yet, of course. I think maybe TikTok will be quicker to the game to implement it. So if I would open up TikTok and the ad from Coca-Cola that I'm seeing is completely different from the one that you're seeing. And they're unique. They're made uniquely for me. So they probably feature Keanu Reeves, for example, and yours would feature, I don't know.
Clubbelet.
Oh, yeah, or fast cars, something like that. Tattoos.
No, cars. I don't like cars. No. It's nothing for me.
Nothing for you?
No.
Well, yeah, you're unique.
Yeah. No, business owners maybe.
How could Coca-Cola, what type of ad would they have to make for you? If it were like an image or a video?
Video.
A video?
I think with people like Gary Vaynerchuk.
Drinking Coca-Cola.
Something like that. Yeah, but I'm not a Coca-Cola fan, so.
Yeah, they have Nalu. I mean, if they would have to advertise to me, it would only show me Nalu ads, I think. With Keanu, because it makes sense, because Keanu is a Hawaiian name and Nalu is also an Hawaiian word. So, Coca-Cola.
But maybe they can do it with activities you have done.
Of course.
Like get energy with Burn. They had Burn in the past or not.
Yeah, of course. The energy like drinks, that's a huge market. Yes, very popular. Energy drinks are now, in the US, energy drinks or with Generation Z are more popular than beer now.
Really?
And that was only Monster. Only Monster sells more to Generation Z than beer. Beer as a whole does in the United States. So there's this market of energy drinks is only growing. I can see why, because hard liquor is getting out of style, and beer as well, especially with young people. But they're being replaced by energy drinks. Coffee is getting more and more expensive because of climate change. So there's this huge market, and then Coca-Cola has a number of energy drinks, and then it makes sense what they just did, this partnership with OpenAI.
Yeah, they also do content if you're living in India. It's with Indian people, and
of course,
it's always different.
So the only advertising platform that could offer this is Snap. So Coca-Cola might move a lot of its advertising budget to Snap Inc. and move it away from Meta. Speaking of Meta, I don't know, are there any comments right now?
Let's see. Nope.
Well, if you still have some second thoughts or things to add, you can always do so in the comments just below. We do read them.
And don't forget to subscribe as well.
And hit that notification bell. Meta, right? I still want to say Facebook, but I must say, remember when Google panicked and did a quick press conference that they shouldn't have done, trying to launch Bard, their answer. So Facebook didn't really react, and people were wondering, aren't they worried about this whole movement? Probably there were, and there were some in-between messages that, yeah, okay, we'll do some stuff with AI. But basically this week, Mark Zuckerberg surprised everyone with a post on Facebook.
Oh,
Yes, on Facebook. That was new. I mean, that was long. I mean, you post a press release somewhere on a website, but this one was posted on his Facebook account, and he started talking about AR VR again. So he hasn't forgotten about his big vision. And I must admit, there were a couple of things in this press release that I didn't quite understand, but they were new to me. For example, the press release mentioned a plan for a neural watch as part of their AR/VR interface. And I'm not sure what they mean by that, because the only type of watch we know now is the Apple Watch, which is already very impressive because it's a health monitoring device that will very soon be able to measure the blood sugar levels of people with diabetes, for example. So a neural watch, maybe I don't know. It's kind of an implant in over here. I would rather have an implant here where I can see it than in the back of my neck. But yeah, in implant. Why is it called a neural watch? Because what nerves is it tapping into, and what is the relationship with AR VR? The only thing I can think of is that the way you use these, and that's not VR, that's AR, but sometimes you can play games, and then you have these
nunchucks. They were called
samba balls. They're what? Nunchucks? Yeah.
Yeah, and the Wii, at the Wii, they call it nunchucks.
Nunchucks, yeah, that's kind of a good example. So in that example, you would still have to wear something on your head, I guess. Or technically, of course, because it's stuck to your body, it's being a watch, it knows perfectly where you are, but it still does know what you're looking at, so you would still have to wear something on over your eyes. I think it would still take like glasses or a helmet or something, or something that projects whatever world you're looking at. But they're moving on, is my point. They're still developing this. They're not giving up on this dream.
I think because they are at war with Apple, because of the
advertising, their advertising model is under a lot of pressure.
They are working with Microsoft. Something is a rumor I heard. And the HoloLens of Microsoft is also shut down, and as well as their metaverse. I didn't heard of it, but there was one guy at a keynote who had avatar of Microsoft for Teams and stuff like that, and they will kill it in March this year. And there are rumors that they are going to work together, Meta and Microsoft, and it could be because they are at war with Apple. And Microsoft has 49%.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And 49% at OpenAI as well, Microsoft. So there could be...
even though they killed off the whole Oculus team, I think, I'm not really killing them off, but they've sunsetted a number of those. But they've created another team. They call it a group, a top-level product group focused on generative AI. So that might be what you were explaining, because they have been sleeping on AI for so long. Of course, Facebook itself uses AI in their ranking algorithms, and they use computer vision to recognize what the percentage of naked skin is on a picture, so that they can, detect nudes a lot faster. But what they've done now is they've created a top-level product group focused on generative AI to show their commitment to advancing this technology. When I read it, I thought that's just words, but maybe behind the scenes they're working together with Microsoft, who is already way ahead of everyone else. Oh, that's interesting. While all that was happening, I saw a real-life use case of this weird metaverse where the avatars don't have any legs.
They will have legs in August.
But they found a case where you don't need any legs,
Okay.
and that's in court.
Okay.
In court, when you're in court in front of a judge, you don't need your legs. I mean, maybe it's even better if you're a criminal that you don't have any legs, because sometimes they run away. So the case was in Colombia. The Magdalena Administrative Court held a hearing where participants in a traffic dispute appeared as avatars in a virtual courtroom. So
for the people who are watching at YouTube, they can watch it now.
it reminds me a little bit of these court hearings during the pandemic, when a lot of courts started doing their hearings in Zoom, for example. We're still looking at a Zoom image of the judge, and then here it is, the whole setup, no legs at all. They're kind of floating in office chairs. But if I were to stand trial, I wouldn't mind being represented by an avatar like that, because then at least it's not my real face. You could still see me talk, but I would hide behind an avatar, and I kind of like that idea. And even the judge was there as an avatar in her judge attire in black and white. So it's still weird.
Yeah.
But I have to admire them that we now finally have a case where we can all say, I don't miss the legs.
No.
It's still working more or less, and it might be even more attractive to be there as one of those weird avatar puppets instead of with your real face.
This is really crazy. I'm going to court with my avatar.
This will look ridiculous in a year, but I was happy that finally I was looking at something that made a little bit more sense than the demos that Mark Zuckerberg was giving when he launched the whole metaverse. Wow. Well, good for you. I think what it shows to me is that the tech giants, so when I follow the data, I look at the Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, and these giants have woken each other up now.
Yeah.
And it was Microsoft who started all of it, which still amazes me. If you would have asked me 6 months ago which one of these 5 data giants will be the first one to awaken the kraken to cause a technological singularity, maybe, I don't know, would you say?
China, I think.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought
China is also a swear word.
Yeah.
Yes, we haven't. That's the first one.
Yeah.
The first time we have to push the button for the one of the 3 swear words that we're
because
not
of
supposed to use.
TikTok and Shein.
Well, so of course AI has been promoted. The development of AI-based companies and algorithms has been promoted by the central government in China ever since Kai-Fu Lee was beaten in Go, in the game of Go, by Google's DeepMind. But ever since then, with the exception of social media algorithms and news algorithms, there's not a lot of original stuff coming out of China, and that surprises me. So yes, instead of GAFAM, we would have thought that, but that it would have been like the M for Microsoft. That I didn't see that one coming, and so Google kind of reacted too fast with a product that was not ready for the spotlight. Bard, nobody talks about Bard anymore. But then I have to admire Meta to just wait until they were ready to come out with something that at least piqued the interest of journalists and the tech community enough to make it interesting again. So if it's true what you just said, that would be mind-blowing.
Yeah. And you don't need to forget that last year we were all talking about metaverse, and now we are talking about AI, generative AI. So the world is going this quickly now, and when Meta can pull this off with Microsoft, wow, Apple will be...
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's legal to become this big. Usually when companies become too powerful, they're being broken up. But it's interesting. So speaking of TikTok, so of course, we talked previously. Oh no, I did that when I was on my own. I talked about the numbers, the monthly active users for the different platforms, but just for European users, because there's a European regulation that says as soon as a social media platform, a search engine, any big web-based service reaches more than 45 million European monthly active users, they have to comply to a lot stricter rules than when they're still, tiny. And it was interesting to see that TikTok is slowly creeping up this ranking. Usually, I just checked, for example, that's another great source of information, a website called datareportal.com. It used to be, it started off as a slideshow by an agency in Singapore called We Are Social, but now it's become a lot bigger than that. So datareportal.com, that's where you find statistics about internet usage and social media usage. And so these, a week ago, they published new numbers for Belgium, for example, which is rare. Usually you don't get to find out how many users the different platforms have specifically for Belgium. And the ranking now is Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and TikTok. And I don't even count WhatsApp because for me that's not social media, that's a messaging app. And then let's be honest, Facebook Messenger is also a messaging app. So basically it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok in Belgium. And very close to TikTok is Pinterest and Snapchat. And only then Twitter, LinkedIn, and the rest.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I'm pretty confident that in a year, TikTok might have replaced Instagram, for example.
Yeah. It's happening.
I think so. Because, and that was one of those news items that caught my eye this week, is that, so there was a report by Rival IQ, a benchmark report where they compared over thousands of posts, similar posts on TikTok and Engage and Instagram, and the ones on TikTok had a 5.69% engagement rate, which is crazy high, and the ones on Instagram had an engagement rate of 0.47. So it's like 5% versus 0.5%. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Now I dropped this question in a very lively Facebook group where only social media managers participate, and a few of them said, "No, that's not my experience." So it is, of course, just a very global, general benchmark. Although it also might mean that they have, over the years, become so good at making engaging Instagram posts, specifically for their Instagram audience, and they just haven't learned to do the same for their specific TikTok audience. That might also be an explanation.
I had a creator podcast yesterday, and this guy had 10,000 followers on Instagram, but it's declining. And also his engagement level is really declining on Instagram. It's not alive anymore.
That's exactly what another research was reported in fastcompany.com. So this report did the research over 2,100 brands and 14 industries, so not just beauty and fashion. And this report, second report, revealed that brand engagement is collapsing on Instagram. So exactly what you were just saying. So this person is definitely not the only one. And then in Instagram headquarters, they think Reels is the answer, but Reels has been launched for how long now?
Yeah.
Over a year or something.
2 years, no?
2 years maybe, yeah.
Slowly sneaking in. IGTV, and then it became
and
real.
then slowly, when no one is looking, they would just, drive to a forest, tie IGTV to a tree, and then drive away. Is Reels the answer? Was the question in this fastcompany.com, and they're saying no. I mean, if this were the answer, it would have worked a long time ago. So I don't think it is the answer. Of course, Instagram is not TikTok, but if you look just at engagement rates, it's a big difference, 5%, or 0.5% if you're a marketing manager. I see that if you want to measure success of a campaign, it used to be how many people you reach, because that was the metric that was used for outdoor advertising. Opportunity to see was enough. that was 30 years ago. That was enough. It's no longer enough. And the new KPI that is now becoming more and more popular, not with everyone, of course, but it's engagement.
Yeah.
So if you have an advertising agency that has, run this whole campaign for you, but with only 0.5% of engagement, they will challenge you on that.
Yeah.
The advertiser, it's not enough.
No.
So maybe next time, if I were the agency, I would say, you know what, if this KPI is so important to you, let's move over to TikTok, knowing full well that the engagement will be a lot higher. Or it could be, a tweak in the algorithm of TikTok to attract advertisers away from Instagram, which would also make sense.
Yeah. I believe in YouTube. I love YouTube.
I do. Yes, it's I think the most. It's weird that it's in this top list of social media and they don't even mention YouTube because it would be even bigger than Facebook.
I think,
but it is social media because why do you even bother uploading a video to YouTube and not to Vimeo, for example?
Yeah.
Because you want people to react and comment and share and like.
Yeah.
Even dislike. The button's still there. It's just been deactivated. It's not visible. The results are not visible. But YouTube is still the biggest one because what YouTube has and the others don't have is this link to Google search.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm still baffled by this insinuation of yours that Microsoft could get together with Meta because then together, of course, they could turn Bing into something completely new. And the whole content, user-generated content, AI-generated content game, advertising game could change completely.
Yeah. Peter, if you're listening, contact Chloe.
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
To give the details.
I'm fascinated by this partnership. Well, let's talk about something completely different. And now about something completely different. So we haven't talked about crypto a lot. And that's because it's awfully quiet. There's been a number of crypto scandals, FTX being the most well-known one, and ever since then, everyone is really scared. It scared a lot of people, and it had a lot of effects as well. There's a lot of security issues. There's a lot of scams out there that doesn't help. What also doesn't help, and that's what I want to talk about right now, is that there's just not a lot of uses for Bitcoin or Ethereum. There's not a lot you can do with it except use it as an investment. But why not invest in art or in classic cars? That's what I would do. Yeah. If you had been investing in crypto in the past few years, a scandal like FTX's could just negatively impact the worth of your coins. So.
Still, I see a future for crypto.
I do too. And then one of the most interesting personalities in the whole field is, of course, Vitalik Buterin. Yeah. He's a fascinating man, I think. And most people who don't look beyond the way he looks, because he looks... He's a Canadian, really, with Russian roots, and he really looks as if he never sees the sunshine.
But he is online. He has
he travels the world.
Yeah, but he also has an online presence. He sometimes does talk shows because Ethereum 2.0
well, I know. So he travels the world to try and convince organizations and governments, for example, to adopt his idea because it goes a lot beyond a payment system. He sees it as a way to the operating system of the world, Ethereum. But he started off as a journalist, really, so he writes really well. And he has his vitalik.ca for Canada, and he still publishes. But what he published this week kind of surprised me because he described how ever since 2013, the efforts that he has been doing to use crypto to pay for something simple. So he writes about, for example, in 2021, I attempted to pay for tea for myself and my friends at a coffee shop in Argentina. And the owner recognized him. So they didn't really say we accept Bitcoin, but the owner recognized him and the owner had coin. So they kind of agreed that he would be paid in Ethereum. Unfortunately, the article describes, my first transaction of 0.003 Ethereum, because it's just a few cups of tea, right?
Yeah.
They did not get accepted, probably because it was under the exchange's 0.01 Ethereum deposit minimum. So he had to top it up to 0.01 Ethereum. So that otherwise it didn't get through. So he describes a number of other cases where he really wanted to use, the person who invented Ethereum, one of the persons, really wanted to use his own coin to pay for something. The other party was willing to accept it, gladly, of course, because what a story. And then there's things that get in the way. I mean, you want to pay for something like a few cups of tea, or there's something wrong with the platform, you don't have enough Wi-Fi, you're not on the same marketplace, you have to pay gas money.
Yeah, but I think it's on purpose, because with 2.0 they want to fix this.
They do. Who are they?
Ethereum.
Yeah, but they had this big, it was supposed to happen in May last year, first in January, then in February, and I was holding my breath. And now we're like almost 1 year after this was supposed to be launched, and there are still...
Yeah, but they're in the last stage. It's wrapping the coin, and I don't know this stuff. It's too technical for me, but...
Well, that's exactly the issue.
Yeah.
If it's too technical, people won't use it.
Yeah.
If you look at how many people are technically able to do all this, it's 2% of the world, and of this 2%, I think 90% lives in India.
Yeah.
So it can now only be used by super intelligent engineer IT developers.
Or
I
Dubai.
mean,
Dubai is also really a crypto country now.
oh, the people who are rich enough to
Yeah.
hire these super intelligence IT developers, so they can squirrel away money without, the governments trying to tax them on it. But that's also not helping,
No.
That's not helping. There are still, if even Vitalik Buterin cannot pay for a few cups of tea with his own coin, why would we be able to do it?
Yeah, but still, I think there's a future. They will be fixing this. There are some spots that you can pay with Bitcoin.
I know, Venezuela or...
Yeah, but there's also in Spain, no, in Thailand, I think, the Bitcoin family, you know them?
No.
From the Netherlands. They have a bar on the beach. They became rich with Bitcoin. And they have a bar, and it's the Bitcoin bar, and you can pay your drinks with Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's just, you're either super intelligent engineer, IT developer, or you're a very shady person. And and we need more people. We need more types of people to use it and be able to use it. And for example, in one of my courses, my students in Antwerp, one of the courses coming up in a couple of weeks is about cryptocurrency and the history starting with Satoshi Nakamoto, and then and I'm having a hard time even to explain it to myself. How can I then explain it to 20-year-olds? Which is my job, to explain it to 20-year-olds, and I'm having a really hard time doing that.
Yeah.
Because it would be easier for me if I could I can show them Coinbase, I can show them my wallet, but then they still don't get to see a demo how I buy something with it. Like order a pizza.
You have the Visa card now.
Do they still have it? Because
Crypto.com has a Visa card, and you can pay Netflix subscriptions, Spotify subscriptions.
But those are micropayments.
Yeah,
That's the whole point of Vitalik Buterin's whole post.
Yeah.
Is that there's still a large market for micropayments, contactless payments. Those will always be micropayments. So why isn't there a case yet? I know that large organizations like Visa and MasterCard were working on something like that, and you, tumbleweed, complete silence, seem to have given it up.
A friend of mine uses Crypto.com Visa card, and he pays a subscription on Netflix, and he gets money back, actually.
He gets money back?
Yeah, like a small... If you need to pay 12 euros, you will get €1 back in crypto.
€1 in crypto, that's 0.0007.
But you also pay with crypto money.
Okay.
So,
well, I once got paid for a copywriting job in crypto, so but we'll see. I mean, that was 2 years ago, but I mean, it would cost me more to sell it now than it would have. I mean, that would be like.
Yeah, I missed out in 2015 on a job. There were two gamers who want to make a logo for YouTube, and they want to pay me in Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoins.
And like
Bitcoin. Yeah, but yeah. It was too technical for me. And there we are again. Yeah.
I wrote only one blog post this week. I was busy, and so one of those blog posts is about a rather funny YouTube video. Maybe we should just play it, because what we're seeing in this video is, so there's 3 friends, and so they're playing Call of Duty Mobile, and but they have their voice modded. Their voice has been replaced in real time by one of them has Obama's voice, the other one, his friend, has Trump's voice, and then the one they're playing against has Joe Biden's voice. And even if you can only hear, it's still hilarious. So let's have a quick look.
Pick a class that actually requires some skill.
Pumped is the greatest class in COD Mobile, and I refuse to use any other class. And you're using Mechanic? That drone does a better job at sucking than your...
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, Joe.
Why can't I select Pump?
I'm using Pump, Joe. Pick Clown class, you clown.
But I don't like the dogs. I want to be able to jump up high in the air. Reminds me of when I was young, man.
Trump, let Joe get pumped, bro.
Absolutely no way. Joe is a noob and doesn't even know how to use it anyways. You could give Joe a class that allows him to insta-kill people, and he'll still find a way to be first blood.
It's okay, Obama. I'll just use Scout.
So why is this funny? Because they're actually saying things that the real Trump and Obama and Biden would say. So that's what makes this a funny skit. But I couldn't help, after laughing, I couldn't help but wonder how did they do this? Because they're using, well, it appears they're using a paid feature called Voice Lab by a Spanish startup called VoiceMod. Where you can upload any voice, so your own, your uncle's, your child's, and then this becomes a template to modify your voice while you're speaking. So what you're basically doing is, it in real time, it transforms your voice. And there's a whole marketplace now on Voice Lab where some people have made voice mods to sound like a little girl while you're gaming. But you can already see where this might be going, and that's a very dark place.
Yeah.
Because
we had it with Joe Rogan.
With Joe Rogan last week. So these are, of course, deep-faked voices, and you can already see the more famous you are, the higher the chances, of course, that there's enough voice material for you available to upload it and then create whatever. I mean, now it was funny because they were gaming.
Yeah.
And they were doing this typical gamers banter among each other. But it's very simple software. I didn't expect it to be a Spanish startup, a voice mod, and it's available for everyone who wants to use it. Everyone, and you can either buy one of the existing voice mods that someone made and upload it, or you can create your own. So this is yeah, I'm usually very enthusiastic, and I go like, creativity, great, but...
Next week we talk with Klo and Klo. Yes,
and just confuse the hell out of each other. I could technically, not if we're in the same room, of course, because then they would echo each other. But you could do a Zoom meeting with someone else's voice. And then, of course, and this is a step further, which is the a Twitch stream. It's still live by one of the most, he's famous and infamous at the same time. One of the most famous, infamous YouTubers and Twitch streamers in Belgium. His name is 𝗦𝗵cie. And what he is running right now, I think he calls it 𝗦𝗵cie AI Heroes. So he created a separate Twitch channel called 𝗦𝗵cie AI Heroes. And what you're seeing there, I think we're seeing an ad right now. Yeah, well, we'll just run through the ad and then I'll explain first. What we're seeing there. So So there's a chat going on during the Twitch live stream, and the people who can type it, so the people who are watching the stream can type in a question for one of the AI characters. There's a whole catalog of them, like Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, a number of people that maybe only gamers will know. And you can say, I want to ask Jordan Peterson, what does he have for breakfast? And then almost instantly, in this live stream, you can see the AI Jordan Peterson. So the visuals are still a little, visibly AI generated, but the voices are very convincing. And so what they are saying is being generated by separate AIs that have been trained by the community of volunteers that Athene has. So he has a whole house, it's complicated, of people who live with him. And what they will do is they will tell the AI, train the AI to use the typical words that Jordan Peterson would use. Yeah. And then adapt constantly and also moderate a little bit so it's not fully automated. So, because then it would be too easy to make Jordan Peterson say something that he shouldn't have said. So we have Snoop Dogg right now.
In the darkest of battles, it's always important to smoke weed every day.
That's what Snoop Dogg would say.
Faith 9 asks, Sam, last night I heard Yes Daddy coming out of Aragorn's tent. What do you think it was?
Oh, Mr. Frodo, I wouldn't know what that was about. I'm just a simple hobbit from the Shire, not used to all these fancy camps and tents. But let me tell you that Aragorn sure has a way with words. Maybe he was reading him some of those racy elvish poems, huh? Or maybe they were just rehearsing a new battle cry. Who knows? One thing is for sure, though, those two brave warriors have been through a lot together, so whatever was going on in there, I'm sure it was consensual and kept them warm on this chilly winter's night.
I have no idea whose voice that was, but the content was funny. So this is impressive. I mean, for me, this is even more impressive than the deepfake Joe Rogan we talked about. Yeah. I thought
it's 2 weeks now, so...
He's been streaming for 2 weeks now.
No, it's 2 weeks ago that Joe Rogan happened, and now this is happening.
And now this has happened,
it's
yes.
Going really quickly now.
So, good time to be alive. And then just to end in beauty, I have an app that, amazed me, but also broke my heart a little. It's called 𝗦𝗏 by 𝗦𝗏 Labs. And what you have to do, it's augmented reality. So you have to upload a picture and then look through the lens to the background where the picture was taken, and it will then do like a 3D moving animation of the person that in the picture was sitting in the sofa. It being AR, you can interact with it. You can see the hand of the person holding the smartphone, not only playing around with the features, but also reaching out to the baby. And that it broke my heart, of course, because you would do this with a picture of someone that is no longer there, so that you can at least interact with them in some way. I'm almost crying. So it's very glitchy when you see it, but it's the whole idea. I mean, if you really miss someone, I can imagine that you buy the paid version for this.
Yeah. Wow.
And then the very last one is a very, very simple website. It's called rectangles.app. The name is 144 rectangles, and that is exactly what you see when you type in rectangles.app. So I know some of you have a dirty mind, but that's it. 144 rectangles, and then some of them are green. And what it does is it shows you how the day has progressed. So since we're in CET, it's now 6 o'clock in the evening. So what this tells me is that there's still a little bit of the day left, and we should make the best of it. I actually went back to this website. I know I'm weird, but I went back to this website to kind of remind me that you don't just squander away your day. Yeah. There's still enough left. You can still get some things done. Would it work for you?
Yeah.
Or is it just too minimalist?
I see a strategy for me.
A strategy?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The third row is working on that. The fourth row
Yes, you
is
could
like this.
you could imagine this having like a paid version where you had to log in, and then
Yeah.
you set yourself goals. Is that red is for working out, and green is for taking time off, and then you would see that I haven't worked out today. I won't work out today at all.
It's 1:00 now.
It's 1:00. Well, that was it for this week's Chaos and Amazement. My heart is still a little heavy from that Whist app, but we did talk a lot about, how the iPhone moment for AI has arrived. If you have anything to add, just reply, comment, subscribe, ping us, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week. Same time, same places.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you.